For some reason, a while back, a star wanted to become famous overnight, so he came up with the idea of faking his own death to get attention. On the day of the funeral, all his friends and family, as well as celebrities from all walks of life, showed up to mourn the former top star. Movies Jack had acted in played on a loop on the big screen, making the atmosphere even more somber. Meanwhile, Jack was pretty comfy. He was watching the live broadcast from his custom-made, star-studded coffin and was totally stoked. Seeing all the big stars on social media expressing their remembrance of him, Jack felt an unprecedented sense of satisfaction. He just went ahead and pulled out the liquor he'd prepared beforehand, planning to have his own private comeback party in the coffin. It felt as good as it gets. The comeback plan was going smoothly. After all the guests had left, his agent, who'd handled the funeral, quickly grabbed a shovel and headed to the cemetery to dig Jack out. But who would have thought an accident happened on the way there? Jack was totally messed up. His agent was the only one in on the plan. Now he'd been in a car accident. Even if he didn't die, he'd be in the hospital for half a year. By then, Jack would already be a pile of bones. Thinking about this sent shivers down Jack's spine. He couldn't believe something like this would happen, but since it had, Jack had to calm down and desperately think of a solution. He pulled out his phone, wanting to call the cops, but then he realized if the police found out, his plan would be ruined. So he had to temporarily give up on calling the police and decided to ask a friend for help. He quickly sent a help message to his friend, but this phone number was new and he'd just had his funeral that day. No one would believe Jack was still alive and well in a coffin. Before he could even clarify his identity, the other person thought he was a scammer and just blocked him. Seeing this, Jack completely despaired. Since no one believed his texts, Jack had to call his friends and family one by one, trying to get someone to believe him. But he called everyone, and no one was willing to believe he was Jack, who had just died. At this moment, Jack felt an unprecedented despair, but to survive, he had to pluck up the courage and call his former assistant, who had always had a crush on him. Worried that she, like others, wouldn't believe him, Jack just went ahead and made a video call. The female assistant almost died of fright. Jack, who had just died, was video chatting with her. No one would believe something like this could happen, but luckily Jack quickly explained everything that had happened, and only then did the female assistant believe Jack was still alive. She quickly told Jack to relax and that she would go to the cemetery to save him. Hearing the female assistant's promise, Jack's hanging heart finally settled. Seeing that he was about to be rescued, he couldn't resist pulling out the liquor from his pocket again and guzzling it down in celebration. But not long after, another accident happened. Jack suddenly received a call from a mental hospital. They asked if he was the family member of this female mental patient. It turned out she'd suddenly had an episode, rushed into the cemetery with a shovel, and insisted that the recently deceased star Jack was still alive. Luckily, the cemetery staff found her in time, knocked her out, and sent her to the mental hospital. Upon hearing what had happened, Jack completely collapsed. No one would have thought that a former top star would encounter such a desperate situation.